police said they came to look for. I believe they haven't found. We're here. We've had a peaceful election, and the SLPP has preached peace from the beginning of the campaign, and everybody has maintained peace. You don't wait till 5 o'clock when they're about to start counting, and now you bring chaos.
It is unfortunate and also very much preposterous. The reason being, I remember just the very day of the voting when the Sierra Leone police visited an unfinished house and the issue about hacking came up. They bashed the police.
The only institution we get a constitutional mandate for give out results at the National Electoral Commission. So far, I want to start by commending the leadership of the National Electoral Commission. They don't try them best, and from the looks of things, we don't get any doubt in them.
Election coverage part 3. Of course, this is not the third time we come to now today in a row. Hello, my family. Welcome to Sheriff Broadcast Network, the place where we bring Africa live to now, from around the globe, wherever you day, we bring Sierra Leone live to you. Of course, we get for start with an apology because we don't receive plenty calls, plenty messages as to why we're not live. Well, we'll be trying for organize certain things now the studio, now that make way we'll not be able to come live to now in the first place, but we follow everything when it happen at the country. Of course, we just don't get 50% of the election results being announced by the chief returning officer of the National Electoral Commission. When the chairman as well of the National Electoral Commission, Mr. Mohammed Alie Conteh, just don't make the announcement. Of course, you see the number right now at the bottom of the screen. You see the numbers, then they scroll. 50% of the votes have been, the results have been announced. And so far, what you would see, just like how been predict on election day, that based on the dynamics and everything, what they see, I don't know if it get to be possible for let one person able to win this election without a runoff. And so today we don't officially start for come to again from our elections studio, of course, elections headquarters now Houston, Texas, from studio number 8. And of course, we get for hangouts now so because Mr. Conteh don't promise for say if it possible, it go able for come back and give the 75% vote. But once they don't give 50%, now conversation go begin. You go begin to see how the election they go because 25. I'm sorry, guys. 25% was very low, so now that they don't give the 50%, so at least we'll go able to start for talk about you know, waiting and how the election they go. But you know, so far with the CCA, they are All People's Congress and the SLPP, then they trail behind each other like that, you know. And so now, so we see how things they go. The APC, they're in a very small lead as far as the elections is concerned, and of course SLPP, they trail behind very, very, very close. It's like, you know, do you no mass me or a day before you, so it's like when you take that step, you mass the next person, not to foresee a far distance, right? So we don't get a lot of calls from people from around the globe, and of course we get for can begin to talk to now about waiting they go on. Once more, if this is not your first time for Kana Sheriff's Broadcast Network, one for take opportunity of this moment for officially welcome you to Sheriff's Broadcast Network, and of course for assure you say you don't make the right decision for Kana. So of course we also want for take this opportunity for express our thanks and appreciation to our sister networks, of course AYV TV in Freetown, Sierra Leone, for doing a very wonderful job as far as this election concerned. Of course we know say they can go through small problems then, but at least they don't make the Sierra Leonean people are informed all over the world. So AYV TV, we want to say kudos to you for doing that. Of course, sister network Sierra Network, we also want to say a lot of thanks to you for everything where you do. Of course, you uplift media business around the globe, just like how we do now. And so now so we're supposed for the operate, you know, for the country with effectiveness and efficiency, and of course all of that they happen. And so as you stand by, watch this space here, so we get for do a lot of analysis, we get for open the lines today, we get for, you know, where you want for call, you know, this is not the time where we're supposed to have a conversation about waiting they go on. Is this how you expect the results then for the coming, you know, is this how you expect for say APC for the inside this whole conversation right about this time, and where you expecting that, where they say APC then gets 99 tactics, you know, and so nobody expects the APC go to inside by now for the even talk about them, you know. I be see whether the care go, you know, Tolombo the coffin, you know, I see on some side way they say nah Ebola don't kill Tolombo so that they pack care go the coffin, you know, but it look like say, you know, diet. So we get forget conversation about all of this, me fam with them. So one for me gonna stick around as we continue for come to you live from studio number 8. Stick around with us.
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo. 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 Nagadam. If you want to pull you close and throw it, I'm a pop up. It's allowed. Jerking dancing and fall on the ground like a would give up. It's allowed. Give me you for make a come in body cause I not get a prepare. Not allowed. Allow me even touch you baby cause I want for turn up fire. Not allowed. Don't let me go, oh, don't let me go. Don't let me go, go, go. Don't let me go. Nation, Kakona and Kaka. When I'm up to the house, no fast, no post. Where's the Rajiva? Nah, never to the house. This not time we no need no bus. If you fat I go just on me, no if you tired for that I go just gonna house. Don't let me go, don't let me go, don't let me go. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo. Gonna the middle, come on a corner. Ballot to pin if I watch and I under me body they tickle. Something a feather, scatter the campaign like a get together. EP, we go party today. Ibi, Uwe, Yanda we ready for body. Hello, enjoyment develop. Hello, enjoyment develop. Love.
They say no more play get the power.
I don't know.
They say no some not get the power.
I don't know.
They say no not play get the power.
I don't know.
I wish them even get the power. I for them. Bon follow me fait. Bon follow me fait. Bon follow me fait. No me the on for the girl. Bon follow me fait. Bon follow me fait. Bon follow me fait.
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo.
Now I'm going to teach you how to dance the song. Listen, now I'm going to teach you how to dance the song. When I say east, you go right. When I say west, you go left. When I say north, you go front. When I say south, you go well, now east, west, north, south.
If I become the presidency, 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 I go put everyone on my cabinet. See me see because I am intelligent. Everyone go sit down on me parliament. Olam, put up pause. Olam, Allah, cool up pause. I say Olam, put up pause. Olam, Allah, cool up pause.
Make the cool and simple.
LSG say no violence. No violence. No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence. No violence. No violence. No violence. No violence.
Yes, of course, if I'm that na LXG, of course, a famous musical star of Sierra Leone, of course, Jungle, na the title of the track, of course, All Monday Hangats, you know, so now the musical artists then says they don't really come out with songs then where they encourage the youth for me they not engage in violence, and for then they talk through the big one them for me they able for walk straight, for me they able for do things in the right way, so that young man they not go vex and begin for engage in violence. And so, you know, LXG, we want to say a lot of thanks to you for articulating on that, on the issue inside that song. You know, plenty thank you. Of course, LXG don't go international. He was nominated for International Musical Award from Sierra Leone, even though he not been winning, but in name be there all over. You know, people that don't listen in songs them all over the world. You know, and so they do a very good job in that area. And so, my family, you know, today we just don't get the Chief Returning Officer of the country, Chairman of the National Electoral Commission, Mr. Mohammed Alie Conteh, don't just announce 50% of the voting results, you know, from the country. And so, according to the announcement, of course, the All People's Congress, one of the incumbent political party, they in a lead, a very slight lead, small lead, no more, you know, not too much. And of course, SLPP, they BNM. According to the announcement where the Chief Returning Officer Guy, you know, the All People's Congress is said and get 566,113 votes so far. We don't come in, just like I did see them at the bottom of your screen. And of course, the SLPP get 564,685. I mean 87 votes so far where the SLPP gets. And of course, the National Grand Coalition then gets 87,722 votes. We don't come in. Of course, the Alliance Democratic Party, 13,507. And you know, waiting really interests me by all these announcements that they go on. Now, the fact they take a look at two political parties, them, the Coalition for Change, C4C, and the National Grand Coalition. These two political parties then kind of affect the two dominant political parties and somehow. I mean, can you imagine the C4C right now get 24,685 votes. So let us imagine if Anes by Kroma not to be wicked man and not been do as Samuel Samsumana bad, and to not be split the kind we wouldn't split. This 24,000 votes or almost 25,000 votes for don't go to the APC by now. You know, these votes should have been APC votes. And then how about the National Grand Coalition? The National Grand Coalition, where Dr. Kande Koleyom Killer instead break away from the SLPP. If you be there inside the SLPP, 87,722 votes so far. So we're not sure because in young people, then some of them come up from APC and some of them come up from SLPP, you know, and some independents. But I know a substantial amount of these votes for don't go to the SLPP because people in the Fala Kanayom Kela, not because of the party, but now because they like them. And so if they believe in aspirations, and if you been stay within the SLPP and work with the SLPP, or if the SLPP then be come up with a strategy and encourage them for stay within, then of course substantial amount of these votes for don't they go to the SLPP. That is how we look at the whole thing, where they go on. And so so the votes that when they come in, they teach we a lesson. They tell we exactly, you know, what's in they go on, right? And so we have to pay attention to the things that we don't begin to see and how potentially then results that when they come in, how then go affect, you know, the major political party system. Now, the one thing we all maybe really think about is that we don't write APC off. Plenty of win at the country. We don't write her off. We feel say APC not get for survive by this election. We feel say Sierra Leonean people are upset. Sierra Leonean people are angry. And even after the election, when they don't close the polls by 5 p.m. on March 7, we able to begin for Siam on the streets. Now Sierra Leone for say the people are very comfortable. They are very confident for say they don't get rid of the APC. So the re-emergence of APC in this political discourse is baffling to so many people. People are trying to understand what is actually happening. Now, when they talk about APC having the tactics, we are not saying that APC is hacking the electoral systems, because from a technological point of view, you have to have an insight into how all of these systems work before you even try for, you know, hack them, right? Now, some of us, knowing the country that we came from, Sierra Leone, and based on our professional background, you know, way back in 2011, I came up with a piece, an article that I wrote about biometric voter system. It no matter whether they use biometric for collect voter material or voting materials, or you know, or then they collect materials from the voter using biometrics. A country has to be ready for this kind of a system for you guys to use it. I mean, if we are talking about the United States as the most advanced country in the world, and during elections they are using biometric or electronic systems, but still they are complaining about issues with those systems. People are hacking into the systems. You hear about Russia hacking into the American electoral system or interfering with the system some kind of way. So if they are advanced that way, and we are at the bottom of the Human Development Index, why do we think that using a biometric voter system is the best way to have a free, fair, transparent, and credible elections? Now, these are the words we have been using a lot. Free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. We have been using these words a lot. So some of us are just thinking about the ramification of this. Because, I mean, when we look at the way things are going, and when you look at the biometrics, systems, you are using human features to input into a machine. And you see that machine, whether be show we get a camera, you get a printer connected, get this, all of these peripheral devices. This is how we call it. The main unit is there, but this unit has connections to it. We call them peripheral devices. All of these devices are connected to a chip that is inside of that system. And all of the different chips that makes this machine work, they are all connected to what we call a motherboard. There is a flat panel, a green flat panel screen to which everything is connected. And if there is a chip on inside of that motherboard that has connection to the internet, then of course we are talking about a situation where the internet is the World Wide Web, right? I mean, the internet is using the World Wide Web, and anything that travels over the internet is susceptible to interference. If somebody's they wait they wait for let something pass, where they pass, they capture them. There are people who are very good at that, right? As people that don't vote, then they try for tally them votes, then they use them phone there for send the information, then they use other devices who then get for send the tally results them to the National Electoral Commission. If there is somebody we really want for hack into the system, with that message they fly for pass, it is able for capture a copy of it. Just like when you get a photocopy machine, you go put your paper, you photocopy them, you take your original paper and go back. But the machine don't already pull another copy, exact copy of what you are holding in your hands. So people then go able for capture that stuff there. And when they capture them, they can able for go to what we call the root source of that information. That means who sign at the destination, who side that information supposed for travel go to. Then once they don't capture them, then they go to the root of who side that information supposed for go. So the original message was supposed to arrive at that source day, it arrived altered. If not 26 been supposed to arrive, sometimes not 30 now they arrive now. Alright? Because somebody don't manipulate the numbers in the air without anybody knowing. So this is what technology does to a country. We're not technologically inclined. We are vulnerable as far as technology is concerned. So why are we using it for our systems? To make critical decision making. Why are we doing that? These are some of the questions we have to ask. But anyway, we're not going to say. So down in our other discussions that we'll go bring calm later on, after we don't get with president now, things they go on, they will go bring up the discussion about biometric voter registration, or even biometric voting system, whether the country, Sierra Leone, is ready for this type of a system, right? Because we get what we call forced accept and forced reject. Now, these are two things that we can talk about later on. But my family, just like you see at the bottom of the screen, APC 566,113 votes. Right now, we get the Coalition for Change, where they are 24,685 votes. And of course, CDP, Citizens Democratic Party, 5,682 votes right about this time. The National Democratic Alliance, 4,154 votes. Right? Of course, the National Grand Coalition, 87,722 votes right about this time. And of course, the Sierra Leone People's Party, 564,687 votes. And of course, the Alliance Democratic Party, 13,507 votes. Right? So if the APC, they're not being drive Mohamed Cameroon back, therefore don't get pada him small votes the way they get. So you see, APC, they no see, they don't bad that now, they kill them back. Right? Of course, SLPP coming as an opposition in an African election. You know, in an African election where the president has everything what he don't do for 10 years, it don't point to nothing but that in a dictator, right? President Ernest Bai Koroma, a dictator, you don't understand democracy. If you say for opinion, person that person I for the so for let an opposition come and go close in election to that person, they must not say the opposition don't try. SLPP don't try. And the election over it, these are just 50%. So all this dance what people that they dance, people that for stop. Nobody know for dance right now. I mean, we don't watch elections now. America, places like America, people that don't vote all the way to like 90%. The person will be the lead. Somebody come from behind. One grain vote where you see they announce that the person I win. So we have gone nowhere. The only thing we see by this election is that it is likely for say there is going to be a runoff. That's what we say. So because we not see it, we say APC, SLPP, we say then they make the 55%. We have not seen that yet. But before we want to stick around, let us continue for watch the space and see what we can do. All right. So we're going to continue for discuss today. We're going to open the lines later on, and of course for let you profile your views on how you see the election to go. And so stick around with us.
No unequivocal times that the APC party has embarked on a massive scheme to rig the outcome of the election results. We have uncovered 4 main ways the APC party is now rigging the elections. First, the APC is using the data, the party itself, is using the fake data of reconciliation and result forms, RRS we call them, to number one, show that they are making progress in spite of the objective fact that they are really running behind in terms of numbers behind SLPP. We have a pile of signed and stamped original RRF that some NEC officers have deliberately left at the polling stations. We have piles of completed and signed duplicates, fake RRS, that is result reconciliation forms, with no serial numbers and security features. The handwritings on all the fake duplicate RRFs are the same. It is the data on these fake RRFs without serial numbers and security features that are now being entered as the correct figures and data at tally centers. Second, the NEC regional tally center machines have been pre-programmed to reject the voting data that is now being put into the system. Our polling agents and center managers have informed us that the NEC machines have since Thursday, 8 March 2018, been rejecting all the data that is entered. The NEC machine reads that the data has already been entered. This confirms that the NEC machines have been hacked and pre-programmed with data from APC agents. Third, we have uncovered massive overvoting. The votes in the ballot boxes are sometimes often far more than the 300 we expect or so. And the NEC officer, Miata French, has rejected all queries raised by concerned NEC staff and instructed them to continue inputting the wrong data. Because of all these data malpractices, the NEC machines are now producing only black stickers to confirm that the wrong data is now being inputted into the system. For your information, the NEC machines are programmed to produce only blue stickers when the correct data is entered. We have therefore decided as a party to do a spot check of all tally centers to verify the numbers of black stickers and present this evidence to the international observers, NEC and PPRC, to show the APC scheme to rig the outcome of the elections. At this stage, we demand that NEC investigate the conduct of its officer, Miata French, who has been intimidating and instructing NEC junior officers to input fake data. On behalf of our presidential candidate, retired Brigadier General Marabio, let me use this opportunity to highlight 2 more additional issues that gravely concern us. One, NEC confirmed in a letter written to retired Brigadier General Marabio on 20th February 2018 that, quote, NEC will progressively display the election results. Unfortunately, nearly 48 hours after the people of this country have cast their votes, NEC has not progressively displayed and announced election results as it promised to do. We acknowledge the enormous task that the NEC is faced with, and we really recognize that. But we do encourage NEC to start releasing election results and to progressively display election results as it has promised to do so.
This is the RRF form, and this RRF form, if you see it, this is the original. And what we are saying, the original should not be with our agents. The original is supposed to be with NEC. Now, if you look, the original was given to our agents. Now, if you check the number of votes recorded for the valid votes recorded for the candidates contesting the election, it's 181. And then when they came to record also under number of valid votes for candidates, it gives you 267. So there is discrepancy here, which is an example of what we are talking about. You look at the other RRF form, whilst that is signed, this is not signed. So these are all the issues we are talking about that are substantial enough to raise irregularities in the issue. So if you were talking about evidence, I am not sure there is much evidence you want to require than what we have presented you. This
I believe we do have the head of communications for the APC, Abdoulaye Berete, who would like to respond to some of the allegations levied today by the Sierra Leone People's Party, Dr. Alie Conteh. He came out today and gave a press statement, just documenting some of the irregularities they may have noted as they have gone about their tallying, their parallel tallying process there. He mentioned some overvoting happening in various places. He mentioned systems being hacked, which he attributed to the APC there. He's also mentioned that some of the systems are rejecting certain data, and he's come out to request NEC to look at it more comprehensively. All right. I believe we do have Abdoulaye Berete online yet again.
It is unfortunate and also very much preposterous. The reason being, I remember just the very day of the voting when the Sierra Leone police visited an unfinished house and the issue about hacking came up. They bashed the police that how can hacking be possible when the NEC we are using manual input. It is therefore that today in their marathon press conference, which we don't want to dignify at all, for them to come and accuse in very unsubstantiated way that the APC was hacking was not only unfortunate, but when a party is on the verge of losing an election, after they went public, very prematurely, I must say, that they have won the election and that they were calling on their supporters to jubilate. But when the results started trickling in, now they saw the writing on the wall. But for us, this is a distraction, will not be perturbed, because the very, very SLPP Alie Conteh was on record to have praised NEC that they are satisfied with the process. But now that the tables are turned, they started crying. This is where we are going to concentrate on our own party to make sure we continue to preach the peace to our people so that results will have been used. We will jubilate with some restraint without any provocation.
Mr.
So
Berete,
all the accusations, imagine
Mr. Berete, if you can hear me.
Some people saying
Mr.
that
Berete,
even the IRN is dominated by APC. An outlet that is only announcing results given to them by the National Electoral Commission.
Mr. Berete, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right. Now, apart from the hacking allegations that the SLPP mentioned today, there's also the general allegation about rigging. But today in his statement, Dr. Alie Conteh did mention that there are incidences they have seen of over-voting in some of the areas. What do you have to say to this?
I don't know whether it is the SLPP that is conducting the elections. I wish if they had such a complaint, instead of very prematurely going into a press conference and outlandish statement, they would have brought their evidences to NEC. NEC will have investigated, NEC will have convened a press conference, and with the evidence. But this is not a new. This is not a novelty. In 2007, they did the same thing, and we were declared the winner. In 2012, they also cried like babies, and we won the day. And this election, nobody is going to subvert the will of the people, because the people said they have seen the light and that they will go. Nobody will compromise their rights to determine the government they wanted. So that is why for us, we continue to talk to our people. Even though we are at a very comfortable lead, we are continuing to talk to our people to exercise restraint, because we don't want to compromise the peace and security of the state, which is also very paramount to us.
Now, let's go back to you. You are being quoted for citing figures saying the APC is taking the lead. So let's go. If not Akin, where did you get those figures? Because NEC is yet to come out with the figures.
We rely on figures that the IRN is giving out. We tally them because for us, we don't want to compromise the integrity of NEC, because don't forget, according to Section 33 of the 1991 Constitution, it is NEC that is given the mandate to conduct public elections, and such provisions were also reflected in the 2002 Public Elections Act. So that is why it was very preposterous on the part of the SLPP for them to go that they have won the election when only 10% at the time were counted. So for us, we continue to rely on IRN for the figures that are coming out.
Okay, so how has the APC observed the tallying process so far? We've not seen you as a party come out to speak on to any issues that you may have. Is the tallying process going fairly according to you?
Well, so far, I think we must congratulate ourselves as Sierra Leoneans. All the press conferences being held by our international observers, they said overall, the process has been very peaceful. And this is a clear justification why the government was very desirous, if not enthusiastic, for us to hold elections, with a chunk of the money coming for this elections coming from the government. So this is where we think we must continue the decorum, the peace, so that election.
All right, my family, that's now, Mr. Abdoulaye Berete, former presidential spokesman for His Excellency Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, and of course now the communications director for the APC as a political party, of course, talking to journalist of the AYV TV. First of all, we want to express our thanks and appreciation again to the AYV TV for making it happen. Of course, as important as we are, citizens of Sierra Leone living in the diaspora, we need to know what is going on in the country. And of course, one of the outlets we can go to get that information is AYV TV. And of course, even though we have, people on the ground as well that we talk to every now and then, but we want to say a lot of thanks to them. Of course, also to Sierra Network. We want to say a lot of thanks to you on this very national issue. And so you saw the press conference that was called by the SLPP. That's the former main opposition party in the country. The press conference was about raising specific issues that they have identified with the elections process, especially the tallying of votes and all of that. One, they think that the SLPP thinks that there were overvoting in certain, constituencies or polling stations, especially in the Northern Province. And so I think the National Electoral Commission is supposed to look into that, because they have the voter register, the voter registration record, and they can easily go to that record and say, within this particular constituency or within this particular ward, how many people register to vote in this ward, and how many of those people if people vote in that particular ward more than the number that registered, then of course the National Electoral Commission has the obligation to subtract that extra number and remain with just the number that voted or that registered. So I don't know if the National Electoral Commission is doing that, because even the results that they have given, the 25% result, the 50% result, they only gave the result. They did not explain how they arrived at the result. Of course, the Chief Returning Officer, Mr. Mohammed Alie Conteh, somebody that we have spoken to often on this channel, just quoted the constitution, or the section of the Constitution that gave them the mandate to do what they are doing, and the Elections Act, which gave them the authority to do what they are doing. But he did not really go into explaining, all of these concerns that the SLPP as a political party has expressed in a press conference. And so we are not sure if they are treating the concerns seriously. But I think for the sake of transparency and for the sake of credibility, they need to address any issue that is being brought up by any political party. I think that is very, very important, because you cannot, rub it under the carpet, because this is how issues, culminate. This is how issues come together, and at the end of the day, it turns out to be a very serious problem, which we do not want for our country, right? But that press conference was very specific. They presented evidences of why they think the elections have not been very free and fair. And of course, I think I understand that we also got a similar complaints from the National Grand Coalition as well. And so let us see how the National Electoral Commission is going to respond to these questions, because this is very important, very, very important. Of course, thinking about the fact that this country, Sierra Leone, has gone through a lot, since we had, since 1991, the country went through very serious, brutal, barbaric civil war. A civil war, so many people have said that have the kind of barbarity, the kind of brutality, the kind of cruelty that happened during that civil war, that it has never happened in any parts of the world, And so this country has gone through serious issues, and so I don't think the people are ready for any more suffering in that country. So we want to hear from the international observers. We want to hear from, Abdullah Berite is talking about Irene. Irene is on my phone right here, right? This is an independent elections watch body made up of Sierra Leoneans specifically. And so there has been this accusation that majority of the people who are working for this Irene are, supporters or sympathizers of the APC. Now, we do not have any verification of this information, but once it starts rumoring, of course, there may be some element of truth to it. And so this is what we have. I have it on my phone. So like if I tap for election result update, then I go to presidential election update. And of course, the first person that appears, because it's the APC that appears here. Now, I don't know if they are doing this because they are going alphabetically, but even if they are going alphabetically, APC should not be first. I think ADP should be first, because it's AD, it's not AP, right? And so we have Dr. Samora Kamara being up here, and so they announced the results, per districts. And so the most important thing is that the Electoral Commission has to pay attention to every complaint that comes from each one of these political parties, because this is democracy, and the future and the fate of this country is in the hands of this Electoral Commission. Thinking about the fact that we don't want any more Ebola in the country, no more mudslide in the country, no more hunger, no starvation, no joblessness, right? No poverty, no squalor, no lack of health care, no austerity measures. We don't want none of these things again. We are looking forward to getting a government that we position us so that there can be sustainable capacity building efforts wherein we can build our own capacity, we can develop our own human resources, we can make very good use of our own natural resources. All the endowments that God has given us, we have not made use of any of those. We are still opening our hands, begging in the international community whenever minor issues happen in our country. We are not self-sufficient. So we need a leadership that can take us in that direction. You know, we need a leadership that can take us in that direction. And of course, I want to use this opportunity also to express my thanks and appreciation to all of you out there, because this election came with a lot of civic education, with a lot of awareness, with a lot of education. You know, Sierra Leoneans, even those in the villages now, we have been able, in our different ways, in our individual ways, we have been able to educate them enough about their roles and responsibilities as citizens of Sierra Leone, which I think is very important. And so nobody can force you to look low on that. It's very important, education. So that's why one of the areas that I agree with the Sierra Leone People's Party is their promotion of education as one of their main agenda items. Even though other Sierra Leoneans are, you know, downplaying it, they are politicizing it. But I think it is a very important issue to address in our country. Because when you are educated, you are enlightened. When you are enlightened, you become knowledgeable. And when you are knowledgeable, you know what your right from your wrong. You know how to do the right things. You know your civic responsibilities. And you know, when we talk about education, it's not just going to sit in the four corners of a wall or going to form a school system. It can be adult education. It can be civic education. But education is one of those important issues that we need to address in our country. So I want to say a lot of thanks to each and every one of you out there who participated in one way or the other to educate our people, to create awareness among them. Of course, I really give kudos to the National Grand Coalition for being at the forefront of that education, at the forefront of that awareness. You know, Dr. Conteh did a very good job creating awareness among our people, making them to understand their civic rights, their civic responsibilities, making them to know their rights, you know, as citizens of the country. So Dr. Conteh and all the members of the National Grand Coalition, we say a lot of thanks to you for what you did in this election. And of course, those numbers you are getting are not small numbers. Even though you are not winning the elections right now, the way we are seeing how the results are being announced, but you are having substantive numbers that you need to maintain. You know, I was listening to one of your supporters who was saying, giving advice to you guys in the NGC, that if there is going to be a runoff and you decide to side with the APC, then of course you have killed your entire aspirations. All the good, you know, the good policy positions that you stood on, that would be killing it. You know, because once the APC comes back to power, the very first item on the agenda would be to kill the NGC, because they don't want competition. APC doesn't like competition. So you have to be very careful how you take care of that. If ever this election goes to a runoff, you want to know how you are going to make decisions moving forward, because this is very important, right? But a lot of thanks to you for creating that awareness. Of course, Mohamed Kamariba Mansoure, even though he's not having numbers that may make him, as he made that pronouncement during the debate, that on March 7, 2018, his name was going to be changed from Mohamed Kamariba Mansoure to His Excellency President Mohamed Kamariba Mansoure. We have not seen that happening right now. But he also, I am very much thankful to him for standing his ground. This guy went to jail. He was being arrested a couple times. He was being called names, but he did not give a damn. He pursued his dream, his agenda. He kept his focus and he stayed in the game. This is what you have to do as a citizen of a country. You have to pursue what you believe in. You have to keep your dream alive. Don't allow anybody, you know, if Mohamed Kamariba, he has created a very nice resume or curriculum vitae for himself. If he stands anywhere in the future and say, this is what I'm going to stand for, people will trust him because they know he is a fighter. He fought his way through this. Nobody expected that he was going to make it to even the presidential election, but he made it. So members of the Alliance Democratic Party and Mr. Mohammed Kamerima Mansere, we want to raise our hearts to you. We want to say kudos to you. We want to appreciate you and want to say a lot of thanks to you also for standing your ground on these issues, right? So right about now, we are, we'll keep track of what is going on in the country. Okay, so now on election day, right? Election started at about in the morning hours, early morning hours, of course, closed at 5 p.m. on March 7, 2018. And then suddenly we saw the arrival of security forces at the residence of the main opposition presidential candidate, retired Brigadier General Julius Maada Bio, on the allegation that he has set up a computer system for him to hack into the electoral process, or to hack into the National Electoral Commission systems. Now, this allegation was coming from nowhere else but from the APC. But the thing that I don't understand, two things. One, the APC must have done this as a way to preempt what they are going to do. If they are going to hack into the electoral systems as claimed by the SLPP, then they said, you know what, let us be ahead of them. Let us accuse them and turn the limelight on them. So people now can be looking at them as if they are trying to meddle in the process. Whereas we are actually the ones that are meddling in the process. Right? So you see the tactics right there. Okay, so when you vie in a presidential election, people have voted. The next thing you do is to set a tallying center so that you are keeping track of the results that are coming in, because you have dispatched party agents to all the polling stations in the country. And when elections are over and they have done the counting, now those party agents with their phones, they are going to be sending you numbers for you to know what are the voting results that are, representing those polling stations that they represented, or they were, part of. You are going to do stuff like this so that at the end of the day, you compare your result to the result that the electoral body or the electoral commission is coming up with. So that is what every presidential candidate does. And that was what Julius Maada Bio did. And so how can you come and disrupt that whole thing and you allege that, they were involved in elections hacking? But that was what happened. So let's see what Mrs. Fatima Bio said on this day to the press, right? Let's see that.
There's nothing here. We're just sitting. Whatever the police said they came to look for, I believe they haven't found. And we're here. We've had a peaceful election, And the SLPP has preached peace from the beginning of the campaign, and everybody has maintained peace. You don't wait till, 5 o'clock when they're about to start counting, and now you bring chaos. They know if you're to come and attack Madabio in any form, it's like you're attacking Sierra Leone. Because the people in Sierra Leone are with Madabio. They should know that. There's no point of bringing chaos in this country. When Anes came in as the president, there was no fighting, there was no trouble. He actually came in and removed SLPP. So if now SLPP is going to remove APC, I don't see why there should be any problem. I don't see the reason why we should have fight or anything. The innocent people matters. The ones that are poor and suffering, they are more than the ones that are enjoying. So the few that are enjoying should allow democracy to prevail and let us finish this process. If they have done their assignment well, if they have served this country well for the last 10 years, nobody should be jumping right now. Let us do the election. It's election. Come on, there's a thing called democracy. Let us follow that process.
All right.
All right, so my brothers and sisters out there, that was the wife of the presidential candidate of the Sierra Leone People's Party, of course, Mrs. Fatima Madabio. That was her, and you saw the scene right out there, how it looked like on election day. It started with peace, and you see, let us give credit where credit is due. From the time he was elected the presidential candidate of the party, Julius Madabio has been preaching peaceful election. Everywhere he has gone, he has always talked about preaching peaceful election, that the election has to be peaceful. And I do not understand where this man, even for him to talk, some people have to force him to say something. Say, Madam, you have to talk now on this issue. He doesn't like to talk. And so how can somebody like this, can be accused of trying to meddle in an electoral process? He was just there trying to tally his votes, right? But anyway, so that was Fatima Bio in Freetown at her house. And of course, where the police went on that day in their gears, what happened, there are a few, intelligence officers went first, and they said that they had intelligence report that they were hacking into the National Electoral Commission systems. And so Mada said, well, where is your warrant for you to search my house for this accusation? They did not have any warrant for search. And so Madabio and his wife said, well, if you don't have a warrant to search my house, then you cannot search my house. So they went back, they brought, more police, members of the police. They brought a lot of police, in their riot gears. They came and you saw them out there. And now the whole place turned into commotion, right? So what was the essence of doing that? What was the point? Police. That's why when I was talking to the public relations officer of the Sierra Leone Police Force on this channel, we interviewed him. One of the questions I asked him was the police equipped enough to be able to police the election? He said yes. Now, I don't know if he understood that question, because the question was about if you were equipped enough, meaning that if you have everything humanly possible for you to be able to have credible information that you can use to police the entire elections. That credible information includes your intelligence. If you are going to have intelligence, feeding you with information, make sure that you are equipped enough for you to verify that information before you even make an attempt to go and put action into whatever information you are getting, whatever intelligence you are getting. But you see, I see Sierra Leone as a country where everybody is emotional. Even those who are in public offices, everybody is emotional, sentimental. I also I heard him, say that the president of Sierra Leone, in a meeting that he called, he told us to do our job. He told us that nobody should be dictating to you to do your job. You should do your job. Not even me, the president, should tell you what you need to do. Just go ahead and do your job. So if the president is saying that, then it means this president really want. Come on, man. Do you have to wait for the president to tell you to do your job? As a police force in the country, you are independent of politics. You are independent of any political interference. You should stay neutral. You should stay honest. You should always be in the middle. So for the president to call you and tell you stuff like that, it was like he was looking down on how you've been doing your job. Because he's not even supposed to utter a statement like that if you guys have been doing your job the way you are supposed to do your job. You are supposed to do your job independent of any political interference. No politician should be telling you what you should do. Just like the Interior Minister, Sengo Kuroma in Kenema, told you to return the items that you took from the presidential candidate, Samura Kamara. And the police that was there stood his ground that, no, I'm not going to do this. I only listen to my bosses. That's how the police is supposed to work. You know? But don't tell us, oh, the president called you. And the president doesn't have to tell you. It is not his responsibility to tell you how you are supposed to do your job. You went to training school. They trained you. And I know when they trained you, they told you all of these things. I'm not a police officer, but I have read about what a police officer is supposed to do. You are supposed to be independent. Our country, my people. But anyway, so that was what happened. So as at now, looking at the 50% of votes that are results that are being read out by the chairman of the National Electoral Commission, we have APC, C4C right now, according to the screen, is 24,685 votes. Of course, the CDP has 5,682 votes coming in. And of course, we have the National Democratic Alliance with 4,154 votes so far. Of course, the National Grand Coalition, 87,722 votes coming in. Of course, the Sierra Leone People's Party, 564,687 votes, right? The Alliance Democratic Party, 13,507 votes. And of course, the APC, 566,113. So SLPP 564, APC 566. 2,000 votes difference, 2,000 plus, right? So this is 50%. And so let's keep watching the space and see if we are going to get the 75% votes count results coming in, or if we are going to see 100%. Because according to INFA, he's expecting to make that announcement again, possibly today. And so we are waiting for that. So meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep watching the space as we continue to bring you information from Sheriff's Broadcast Network. Stick around with us.
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo.
If you want to pull you close and throw it, I'm a pop up. It's allowed. Jerking dancing and fall on the ground like a would give up. It's allowed. Give me you for make a come in body cause I not get a prepare. Not allowed. Allow me even touch you baby cause I want for turn up fire. Not allowed. Don't let me go, oh, don't let me go. Don't let me go, go, go. Don't let me go. Let's not on. Kakona kaka. When I'm up to the no fast, no post.
I go just on me, no see Victoria, but that's I go just gonna house. Don't let me go, don't let me go, don't let me go. Jogo, 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 make them cool let them pa. Jogo, 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 make them cool let them pa. Jogo, jogo.
Gonna the middle, come on a corner. Ballot to pin if I watch and I under me body they tickle. Something a feather, scatter the campaign I get the forgetter. EP, away, we go party today. EB, away, yanda we get the for body. Hello, enjoyment developed. Hello, enjoyment developed.
The song. Listen, now I'm going to teach you how to dance the song. When I say east, you go right. When I say west, you go left. When I say north, you go front. When I say south, you go well now east, west, north, south.
If I become the presidency, 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 I go put everyone on me cabinet. See me see because I am intelligent. Everyone go sit down on me parliament. Olam, put out pause. Olam, Allah, cool up, pause. I say Olam, put out pause. Olam, Allah, cool up, pause.
Let the cool and pause.
LSG say no violence. No violence. No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence. No violence. Reflection, no violence.
It's regarding the Inspector General who is saying that they're in charge of security, blah blah blah. Yeah, which is quite right. Well, in that movement and the movement of people stricter and the, we're not there at war.
Right.
Even during the time where the country is at war, people were afraid. Election day was just like any other day.
3.1 million people were registered. And honestly, problems with the cannot even reach 1%. Tell you that as a patriotic Sierra Leonean, as a true Sierra Leonean. But at the background, they get people that they go out for the real electoral.
mistakenly ask me, are you? Why is it that 3 of the top members of C4C are lawyers? There's Judah, there's Kevin, there's me, and a bunch of others in Sierra Leone. My response was this: so that the next president of Sierra Leone that C4C helps to elect understands one thing: we ain't gonna let you break the law.
Whatever the police said they came to look for, I believe they haven't found. We're here. We've had a peaceful election, and the SLPP has preached peace from the beginning of the campaign, and everybody has maintained peace. You don't wait till 5 o'clock when they're about to start counting, and now you bring chaos.
It is unfortunate and also very much preposterous. The reason being, I remember just the very day of the voting when the Sierra Leone police visited an unfinished house and the issue about hacking came up. They bashed the police.
The only institution we get a constitutional mandate for give out results at the National Electoral Commission. So far, I want to start by commending the leadership of the National Electoral Commission. They don't try them best, and from the looks of things, we don't get any doubt in them.
Election coverage part 3. Of course, this is not the third time we come to now today in a row. All right, of course, this is now Sheriff's Broadcast Network once more, of course, coming to you live and direct from Houston, Texas. And of course, we are coming to you from our studio based in Houston, of course, studio number 8. And so, me from them, just like I've been telling you the last time, we've been doing a little, analysis of the numbers. And of course, we're starting from the 2015 population and housing census report we've been get from Statistics Sierra Leone. And then we end up with the certified voter, certified voter records as was put forward by the National Electoral Commission. Of course, now we want to just make a reference to that report once more. Of course, what you would see now the board right here. Let me just make sure say we get the board right. Of course, what you would see now the board right here are numbers that were put forward by the National Electoral Commission as the number of people that were certified to vote in this election. And so that total being come up to 3,128,861 or 967 actually, right? It came up to that. So out of that number, of course, what you would see here, of course, we will get for C say, give me a second. That's something is about. All right, so we been talking now the Northern Province. Of course, according to the National Electoral Commission, they've been divide the Northern Province into two regions: the Northern region and the Northwestern region. The Northwestern region, they around the area they are so where they around Port Loco, Cambia, then side and day, and of course the Northern region are like Bombali, Konadugu, then side and day, right? So we then combine the two. Out of the two numbers that we then get from the two regions, there it came up to 998,760 people that will register for votes in the Northern Province per this election. And of course, now the Eastern Province, then we get 619,229 people will register to vote in the election as well. Then of course, talking about Southern Province, then register 620,826 people registered to vote in the south, in the Southern Province. And of course, Western area, we'll say they see that yellow place, that small place is the most densely populated right about this time. About 890,152 people registered to vote in this election in the Western area, right? So now when you look at these numbers, first of all, you see saying that the Northern Province is the stronghold of the All People's Congress, the APC. And of course, there will also talk say APC now in stronghold with Freetown as well, but not now, because it don't, that whole idea whether the float don't change, definitely. But Northern Province, this now the areas them where APC began stronghold. And so looking at this stronghold right here, we can see that the votes the way APC been getting at the area, they are then votes then they don't be, it was threatened, it was taken away from, I mean right now at 50%, when they talk about the NGC, the National Grand Coalition, we pull most of its strong supporters them from that axis. Of course, the votes that we not able to take away from the APC right about this time is about 87,722 votes taken away from the APC by the NGC. And so no matter where will be see the APC they try for go after can they collect in citizenship, in dual citizenship, and of course can they be very smart, able to work out that thing there before ever it is spill out of anything. And of course, how about the Alliance Democratic Party? Right now, the Alliance Democratic Party don't take away about 13,000 votes from this axis. I'm not saying that from here and here more. Northern region, Northwestern region, and some part of Western area, they don't take some votes away from the APC, right? And so that is what the reality is. Now, how about the southeastern part of the country? Southeastern part, that is where the SLPP has a strong roots, right? A strong support. Now that side and it gets strong support. So right about this time at 50%, we don't see say the C4C, when at the Coalition for Change, don't take away about 24,000 of that vote today. But say Kono has always been a swing state. Kono not ever tina put one person. Then get a history way back from independence. Kono they not they pledge allegiance to one specific political party. Now you where they stand with the way they do something for them today. Now you then they with where you change then come on being you. So I'm not sure if the votes where Alhaji Sam Sumana gets, the winner that 24,000 exclusively na SLPP votes. No, it is also part of APC vote, right? So they take away from the APC, and at the same time they take away from the SLPP in this election. So the SLPP strong base, I think say they're still strong, not a strong base, not a stronghold. They are still strong in there, you know, and so SLPP be also, apart from its stronghold at the southeast, it be also get for do a very good job of trying to gain over people that in Freetown, because you see Freetown, where country they go bad, now that people that they begin feel and force. So when you see Freetown they come up here, and you must not see your time done, right? So SLPP was very favorable to the voters in the western area, so they do a good job in that area. So now make then results here they come in, people are not for jubilate right now, or people are not for begin to cry right now or hang out, because now just 50% we don't know what it all left behind, right? So let we wait, let we see. But one thing that I know is that looking at all the dynamics that is involved in this, you know, the numbers that we don't talk about. When you look at the numbers there and look at the dynamics involved, it go likely possible say we can forget a runoff election. You know, even though we see some APC diaspora supporters in the dancing on the street for say, you know, get no runoff, not get for day, but I know they see who say any one political party they win this election by this first round. But anyway, it is too early to predict that, because we don't only get 50% of the election results so far. So let we keep watching the space and see waiting will come next. You know, let us keep watching the space, because it's very possible for say other things than they be. But just that is just the analysis of the situation. When you look at the entire electoral history, elections history in Sierra Leone, you look at the dynamics of the political parties, them, you look at how the campaigns them they go, now that would you see say they happen. But anyway, my family, right about this time we don't open the lines in case you want for call. We right about this time and say anything about waiting at your expectation, waiting to happen with the elections today. The results that they don't announce so far 50%, and waiting you think about Sierra Leone as a country going through this again, all of that you can call we right about this time. The number then at the screen, of course, now the right hand side of the screen you will see on the 832-614-6242, or you can call we on Skype. You know, you will Skype ID now Sheriff's Web Radio. You can call we right about this time. We can connect you for let we talk about this whilst we wait for see if we will get any other votes, right? And so now that's now the numbers them, of course. So APC and SLPP, now then two political parties then right now, now then the top, you know, per this election, per which they go on. So we're going to continue for watch the space for see what is going to happen. Of course, it not get for easy, you know, because what you would see when they come in, like it's not going to be easy, you know. A lot is going on right now. You know, some people are happy, some people are not so happy, you know. Some people are just a little concerned for violence and for all that in a day. But we feel say violence not good. So me family them wanna watch the space.
Sugar music. Them in the sell of blow behind governments, not all see for blame governments for their so pass smack. And now, right from the horse's mouth. You mentioned that when you saw the state of somebody's life during your campaign, you felt it was unforgivable. Who or what will you blame for that? But I blame government. What I don't try, Nakuma. It's a like a day when I go. Big diamond, the lost Naruma. Everybody do everything but the camp. Election coming sooner. It's a like a day when I go. 99 silent pattern. Everybody do everything but the camp. You want get to pass me weather. It's a like a day when I go. The people say they're tired. Everybody do everything but the camp. Man, no one left the power. Man's hot for the power. No one go, you want for super. We the one we go secure in pockets. So in hand still go dep on the power. I mean them being say it's tired. Not to like I say we know no. Only dirty thing them and then they do how the country go grow. on the girl side and there juju now them do it for go. They want fat in the pig on no market they disuguru walk don't do it. Now they belly they no more nobody guru. Bye bye for my we don't suffer too much upon this guru. One mama don't be good don't do it. Bye bye for my where and they show it and they like say no. Seize advantage pan the people and say now we we no say the pan a mortal man not to all team the bag no but if a pack for him people man them life them for they grow but to them sit down for thief and you do anyhow no hesitation busy they cook for jama poto rest sour soup where we they grumble they say he left 40 more year for manipulate they know I make a man them elevate they know I make pikin them educate when man them sit down they meditate them some corner one then go eat people them money for go make a don't then come put to toll gate up on toll gate the country had it like a concrete people them they run go wait to where they no say them dump well then send them and go bump pikin at the states ranka one then they generate so bad man they no get chance for vibrate the way we they feel no psychiatrist no able evaluate wait by the power na chocolate we want if man bet he peel the packet give the other one back what I don't try na kuma it's a little bit where no one big diamond lost na ruma everybody glad body election coming sooner it's a little bit where no one 99 silent pattern everybody glad body the one gets past me weather it's a little bit where no one the people say they entire everybody glad body them say the man at the top say me they not give me national stadium the pride baba just because the baba not free for bow big man no vex ya not to all man go bow some of we not to only God who they bow we know they bow down to corruption I tell them doubt then see me get a big mouth man them don't left palebelete they left we all for money because them be one's position political connection also for the brown envelope collection I see man then they battle corruption while the country they ban relegation then guys they want play with we intellects with the money they want buy the election they want play with comfort to formation then they pull all kind of pattern for tip election one big fool this good work don't do it now they belly they no more nobody good work we don't suffer too much upon this good work one mama don't be good don't do it where and they show it and they like say no seize advantage upon the people and say now we no say the pan a mortal man not to all team the bag no but if a pack for him people man them life them you don't touch we bad but you fail we bad we been the feel say you go tell we say sorry say you go die for you bully we but you bully we make an lie just can see big advantage but we no more oh how team ka connecting to moko party ka connecting all I am a fin tank all I am a list I take a ticket te ban sata men long touching the bike about the mutation so from suye mankal te isu awa mara ne ba katola nyanto I no say make you no campaign but wait first so I dey buy or eat all the flesh and the rooster now they dance to other guy but the poster 10,000 one polo for moral booster
Who or what will you blame for that? Government.
Now they dance to other guy but the poster 10,000 one polo for moral booster everybody glad you the gamble everybody glad you the gamble cause when you see the song not go end I'm not talking nothing we do remember
Next, per your own request to Sheriff's Broadcast Network, una one follow will talk finally before election to the chairman of the National Electoral Commission. Of course, we don't talk to him plenty time now, and we don't express una satisfaction with how it do in work. Of course, very transparent, very ready at all times. Of course, even though it's busy, they're taking time for talk to una. So we don't bring Mr. Mohammed Infa Alie Conteh again today for talk to him exclusively before the March 7 general elections in the country will get for be on this coming Wednesday. And of course, Mr. Conteh there on the line now from Freetown. Hello, Mr. Conteh. How do you do, sir?
Oh, fine, thank you, Brian.
That's good. How Freetown, how everything? You know, so we can always ask you that question first because we care about you in as much as they provide public service to our country, but we also care about you and your own family. So how is everybody doing in the family?
Well, thank God, the family okay. We have been sick for some time, but thank God, okay now.
Okay.
And we're ready now for the 7th March 2018 elections. We will begin on Wednesday.
Okay, so we wish you good health and well body as we go into the election. Of course, as you know, the fate and the future of Sierra Leone rests quietly now you and the people that they work with now the National Electoral Commission. So this election they come will be one for talk to you today about how prepared is the National Electoral Commission for ensure say there is a free, fair and credible elections in the country.
Well, thank you very much, Ibrahim, and the family them over there. Well, we, the National Electoral Commission, we fully prepared for the 7th March 2018 election. Family when I know 4 elections will conduct the same day. One for president, the other for members of parliament, and the other for local council election, 2 local council elections, 1 member of parliament, 1 presidential. So we prepare right now. We get the logistics, we get money through the government and people of Sierra Leone, and also the contributions from the international community. Right now, last week we get the ballot papers, for the whole country, for all the 4 elections. UNDP helped for print the ballot papers for South Africa. Now get them. We also get all the materials. So we don't even send all the materials in the respective districts. Then also, we don't train, we staff them. We don't recruit them, we don't train them. So they're all ready now. We'll deploy them starting from maybe from tomorrow, next tomorrow. So we are actually ready. But also don't get international observers all over the world. From the EU, from African Union, from ECOWAS, and some other countries, they all don't come to observe the election.
Right. So
on we own side, we're definitely ready. Campaigns and they go on, and then the day now towards the last day. The last day of the campaign will be tomorrow. So we'll campaign tomorrow, but next tomorrow a full-off day we call up. So both campaigns in the campaign, and generally the campaigns then peaceful. Of course, you get skirmishes, some violence, certain side and day, but not the end one we will say will actually disrupt the peace of the country. The police themselves, of course, you don't talk to them, security-wise, themselves, they work together. But generally, we're really prepared now.
Okay. And so just like how you don't talk, most of the voting materials and then are all the districts there now. And so is that another way of saying then are all the polling centers, you know, now by the time when the election they happen, they're all for them, then are them polling centers then?
Yes. Then there are the districts then now, all the 16 districts then are the country. Then from tomorrow now, they begin sending now the polling centers. Today now do the last training of the lower cadre of polling staff.
Okay.
So that's now. So by tomorrow, they begin deploying them. Okay. Then we also want to do now regional tally centers. I do therefore tally the results. Okay. After Wednesday, then Wednesday next, we will begin for tally the results at regional level. For the east, Nabo Town. Sorry, Nakenema. For the south, Nabo Town. For the north, Makeni and Boloko. And the western area, Freetown. So they do regional tally centers, but at district level inside the region. So they will tally the results, you know. Right now, we don't do accreditation, we don't accredit the international observers, both local and international.
Okay.
So we're ready now, actually.
Okay, you know, because one of the concerns we plenty Sierra Leoneans then get now after we people that don't vote done, that polling that ballot box, whether they take and travel with and go to another place before then they go count. Now that's the worry people then foresee. Between that travel, this Boku thing could happen with that ballot box. We will not go able to forget the actual figure of people that will vote for a specific political party. Is that something we concern una or una don't take care of them?
Well, I mean, with respect, people then get it wrong. They get it wrong. We don't move with any ballot box after voting.
Okay.
The polling station, which are then they will count.
Okay.
Now they will count and the ballot box and they in the open. Not only like first time they go eat marble on a paper. And they outside. Voting are from 7 o'clock in the morning, saloon time, to 5 o'clock in them. People then see this at the queue, at the line. They will do sometime up to 1 hour. As they're done, let's say by 6 o'clock saloon time, then they begin for count.
Right.
They count sometime up to 12 o'clock or after midnight. Then when they're done, they begin the results papers and back to the political party agent. So what we get for travel with now, now the results.
The results.
When they don't get them from the polling station with the poster, all man know. They put an entire what we call tamper evidence envelope. A plastic kind of envelope. When you lock them, they open. So we don't go to the district level.
Okay.
So we let it travel with ballot box at all.
That's good. Yeah, because in 1996, Mina be one of the polling officers then at Kenema, and I so been do exactly. So, Mr. Conteh, so if like they don't vote now, you know, they don't count, and the political parties, the agents, they're all day presently there. When I don't count, they don't know the figures. Now, before they travel with that result, they go don't tell una Freetown at the neck or headquarters for let una know waiting at the results in a particular polling station, or when I go wait, make them travel with the physical document itself.
We the ways that make the political parties and observers, they know the result before ever we didn't know. Before me, the Chief Electoral Commissioner, they know.
Okay.
So then they go and then all we need for doing the result with the transport the results now at the district level, then from the district level now to the regional level. The regional level now then they tally them. Like when you talk about Kenema, when the result then come out in Kenema, right? Then they can of course enter Kenema. So when they come out, then they can bring the kind of Kenema town. Now the result, now they will begin tally them.
Okay.
In the presence of observer and the presence of political party agents, etc., etc. But by then, some political parties are then constituents, then centers, and then we don't know their own results there.
Right, before you even know.
Results.
Right. And so, in essence, how long would they expect for actually get the final result of the election, especially the presidential?
Well, we hope the presidential within a week.
Okay, what's in the week?
We want to make sure announce the results 1 week after the election day.
Okay.
All the other hand, you know now the other members of parliament are 132 constituencies. That may take time. Then the rewards are one for local council are now 446. That may also take time. But one for make sure we don't away with the presidential election. So announce that a week later.
Okay. And so, you know, the voter registration cards, then we know say some day way some people are not be able to go pick up. Is that substantive enough for make it go create any reason of concern for say some people that not can't take the voter registration cards and therefore maybe it go impact elections? Is that something when you think about?
No, well, it not will impact anything. Well, people they don't collect them cards. Of course, we still get some few cards now at the district level. Well, we don't stop for actually with cards now from the top. But even the one who will not get cards, really, on election day, if you register, you name them, we register, you for 2 days, you will go or go vote. The only thing we'll ask you question, we'll also ask you for let you tell some other thing for identify you because you don't get you voter identity card.
Okay.
So but you can go, you know what, disenfranchise anybody, will allow you for vote, but you have to prove say that you not the person. And let us not forget family. on the register, we get the photo of everybody who is in register. We get other details. We ask that, for instance, in Mama name, Papa name, we ask all them questions.
Okay. And so, well, yeah, that is a good thing. How about security? Hello? Yeah, hello? You get me, Mr. Conteh?
Hello. Yeah, they get you now. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, how about security? You know, when I get any concerns for security, or as far as security is concerned, NEC is fine?
Well, security are concerned, really, but we are in the position to work together. I mean, a lot of preparations don't be, and they don't show we. But I mean, then they provide security. So when they work actually,
okay.
You know? So not too, we worry really, but not too much.
Okay.
We see, I mean, we'll all be able to do in collaboration with the police, the other security forces, and even with the political parties.
Okay. And so, you know, like we're saying, a concern, is there something specific where you go able to elaborate on now, or because of security reasons you don't want to talk about that?
Well, no, I mean, the only concern are the political parties themselves, that they rarely get concerned. I mean, the trust on the Sierra Leone police, I actually look low to them.
Okay.
But the police don't assure them, they don't assure we all, really. But they get a lot of suspicions on the police.
Okay.
Really, yes.
Right.
But well, some of them really not so true. But not their own suspicion, and then concerns in Dandy, and they are very much concerned. We understand and concerned. So now we all strive our means and join together and discuss their concerns. We do on them really.
Okay. So what do you think as a chairman of NEC, what do you think about the police, they restrict movements of certain, you know, vehicles, peoples, you know, we don't really say they're not really restrict a movement of people, because if they do that, people are not going able for vote. But when you don't vote, don't not go tinap around the polling station, tinap a little far away so that other people then will get chance for camp. What do you think about that general statement about restriction of movement?
Well, the restriction of movement, naturally, in 2012, then do up.
Okay.
So when the police and they work together, honestly, I mean, what the police and they what you agree on, not a complete ban on movement. One SLRT, that is the Leone Transport Authority, the corporation, they give 70 buses. 40 in Freetown, then the other 30 in the district for Kirkwood, and they free of charge. Government don't pay for that.
Okay.
Then besides, you also get additional motor on commercial basis. Very few. But then if you need to go with the free bus, you will go with the commercial buses where you pay. But we not allow anybody to take your own vehicle for go around. That's one the way we accredit. Don't let the accredit people there, and mostly are institutions. And then the political parties, every political party, they give them 10 accreditations at district level. So generally, well, some political parties get concerned over that. The police can come up with a memorandum of understanding. Some parties they don't sign to the SLPP, NGC, and a few others. But most other political parties actually don't sign. You know.
Okay.
So, well, the Nigerian restrictions, mostly in the urban areas. The rural areas, bikes can go and they fly the street.
Okay.
The rural areas. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. So as far as the elections is concerned, you feel say everything is totally in place and that there are no reasons for people to be concerned?
No reason not for let people them concerned.
Okay.
Everything they in place. I mean, from USA, electoral materials, I say don't go, don't do recruitment, we don't do training, you know. Now we get logistics, we get money for conduct elections, for pay staff, we don't buy materials, and the preparation is high. And we say the spirit is high amongst we staff.
Okay. You know, in 1996, Dr. James Jonah Bigefo faced some personal security issues, threats, you know, on a live. They even to a bomb in office suicide been there. You know, as a chairman of the National Electoral Commission, I mean, even the police, they say they don't receive some threats on their lives, you know. You don't receive any kind of threats, you know, like that?
Well, that's a long time now, we receive threats, but I think now I don't know, man.
Okay.
And Ibrahim Sheriff say I don't get on this
for a long time, right?
And I open up with all the police.
Right.
I open up with all the political parties. I think they have confidence in me. Generally, they have confidence in me.
Yes.
Because men they don't work and they still I mean, are ready for make sure things go straight. And we meet every week with the political parties. I think things will go on fine.
Okay, well that's good, that's good. Well, I think say you don't handle all side. We just the hope say you continue to feel well, let you feel better. The future of Sierra Leone is in your hands, and of course we know you from the time when you're a teacher in an Islamic secondary school, you did pan national election business, you know, so you don't take pan, you know, we know that, you know, we thank you very much. So Mr. Conteh, you get any final word where you want for say to family?
Well, I just want to tell you, family, Ubahanda and the whole world and the particular Sierra Leonean, for say, cause not for really worry. We just need the cooperation of everybody, even and prayers. I mean, this will come to make sure things move. And we want to assure everybody, say, we, the National Electoral Commission, ready for conduct credible election. So that's one, but we will only do with the cooperation of all stakeholders, political parties, the Sierra Leone police, ONS, I mean, and the general public.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Conteh. We wish you all the best in the discharge of your duties. And of course, after election, we say go dinner at the ground. I will come meet you personally, you know. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, sir.
All right, Ibrahim. Thank you very much.
Broadcast Network. Straight talk for change.
Right. And so one of the things that we this BNT we Sierra Leoneans are concerned about is the fact that on election day, when I don't decide for institute a restriction on people and movement in the country. Is that true?
That is absolutely not so.
Okay.
We get a memorandum of understanding when we sign with the various political parties. The memorandum of understanding don't make them absolutely clear is that on election day, we not put a ban on the movement of people. People are free to go about their normal business. People are free to go out and cast their votes. If we put restriction on the movement of people, then it seems that they're not for come out and the franchise. So that's not true. I mean, based on intelligence, what we don't gather, threat analysis, like threat estimate.
right, of course, Famuna Cabo again, once more, of course, Sheriff's Broadcast Network coming to you live and direct from Houston, Texas, of course, coming from our studio number 8. And of course, today we have had the Chief Returning Officer of Sierra Leone, that's the chairman of the National Electoral Commission, announcing 50% of the election results that they have tallied so far at the National Electoral Commission's headquarters. And so those election results reads as follows. The APC so far has 566,113 votes. The SLPP has 564,687 votes. And of course, the National Grand Coalition has 87,722. The Coalition for Change has 24,685 votes. Of course, the Alliance Democratic Party, 13,507. The Citizens Democratic Party, they have 5,682 votes. And of course, the National Democratic Alliance, the NDA, they have 4,154 votes so far. So those are the results that have come in so far from Sierra Leone, or from the National Electoral Commission's headquarters, and of course from the boss that is over there. That's the chairman of the commission itself, the Chief Returning Officer. And so there have been some issues raised by some political parties. Of course, Sierra Leone People's Party called a press conference yesterday, alleging that there have been, voter malpractices. Of course, they alleging and accusing the All People's Congress of hacking into the electoral system, and of course changing the votes in their favor. And of course, also we had that the National Grand Coalition had already, raised concerns about the credibility of the voting system because of all of the issues that arose in different parts of the country, different parts of polling stations around the country. And so we don't know if the National Electoral Commission is going to pay attention to those concerns, but I think they do have to, because knowing the caliber of Mr. Mohammed Alie Conteh, he's been in this for over 20 years, and of course the lady that is deputizing him has also been in this for a long time. And so I do not think that they would downplay the importance of those concerns that have been expressed by the political parties. But yesterday this chairman of the National Campaign Committee of the Sierra Leone People's Party, Dr. Alie Conteh, who you see behind me now, called a press conference together with the National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lawrence Lima, and they presented evidence to showcase their reasons as to the APC meddling into the electoral process of the country. And so let us just see how that press conference was like, right?
The main purpose of this press conference is to state in no unequivocal terms that the APC party has embarked on a massive scheme to rig the outcome of the election results. We have uncovered 4 main ways the APC party is now rigging the elections. First, the APC is using the data, the party itself, is using the fake data of reconciliation and result forms, RRFs we call them, to, number one, show that they are making progress in spite of the objective fact that they are really running behind in terms of numbers behind SLPP. We have a pile of signed and stamped original RRFs that some NEC officers have deliberately left at the polling stations. We have piles of completed and signed duplicates, fake RRFs, that is result reconciliation forms, with no serial numbers and security features. The handwritings on all the fake duplicate RRFs are the same. It is the data on these fake RRFs without serial numbers and security features that are now being entered as the correct figures and data at tally centers. Second, the NEC regional tally center machines have been pre-programmed to reject the voting data that is now being put into the system. Our polling agents and center managers have informed us that the NEC machines have since Thursday, 8 March 2018, been rejecting all the data that is entered. The NEC machine reads that the data has already been entered. This confirms that the NEC machines have been hacked and pre-programmed with data from APC agents. Third, we have uncovered massive overvoting. The votes in the ballot boxes are sometimes often far more than the 300 we expect or so. And the NEC officer, Miata French, has rejected all queries raised by concerned NEC staff and instructed them to continue inputting the wrong data. Because of all these data malpractices, the NEC machines are now producing only black stickers to confirm that the wrong data is now being inputted into the system. For your information, the NEC machines are programmed to produce only blue stickers when the correct data is entered. We have therefore decided as a party to do a spot check of all tally centers to verify the numbers of black stickers and present this evidence to the international observers, NEC and PPRC, to show the APC scheme to rig the outcome of the elections. At this stage, we demand that NEC investigate the conduct of its officer, Miata French, who has been intimidating and instructing NEC junior officers to input fake data. On behalf of our presidential candidate, retired Brigadier General Marabio, let me use this opportunity to highlight two more additional issues that gravely concern us. One, NEC confirmed in a letter written to retired Brigadier General Marabio on 20th February 2018 that, quote, NEC will progressively display the election results. Unfortunately, nearly 48 hours after the people of this country have cast their votes, NEC has not progressively displayed and announced election results as it promised to do. We acknowledge the enormous task that NEC is faced with, and we really recognize that. But we do encourage NEC to start releasing election results and to progressively display election results as it has promised to do so.
This is the RRF form, and this RRF form, if you see it, this is the original. And what we are saying, the original should not be with our agents. The original is supposed to be with NEC. Now, if you look, the original was given to our agents. Now, if you check the number of votes recorded for the valid votes recorded for the candidates contesting the election, it's 181. And then when they came to record also under number of valid votes for candidates, it gives you 267. So there is discrepancy here, which is an example of what we are talking about. You look at the other RRF form, whilst that is signed, this is not signed. So these are all the issues we are talking about that are substantial enough to raise irregularities in the issue. So if you were talking about evidence, I am not sure there is much evidence you want to require than what we have presented you. This
I believe we do have the head of communications for the APC, Abdoulaye Berete, who would like to respond to some of the allegations levied today by the Sierra Leone People's Party, Dr. Alie Conteh. He came out today and gave a press statement, just documenting some of the irregularities they may have noted as they have gone about their tallying, their parallel tallying process there. He mentioned some overvoting happening in various places. He mentioned systems being hacked, which he attributed to the APC there. He's also mentioned that some of the systems are rejecting certain data, and he's come out to request NEC to look at it more comprehensively. All right. I believe we do have Abdoulaye Berete online yet again.
It is unfortunate and also very much preposterous. The reason being, I remember just the very day of the voting when the Sierra Leone police visited an unfinished house and the issue about hacking came up. They bashed the police that how can hacking be possible when the NEC we are using manual input. It is therefore that today in their marathon press conference, which we don't want to dignify at all, for them to come and accuse in very unsubstantiated way that the APC was hacking was not only unfortunate, But when a party is on the verge of losing an election after they went public, very prematurely, I must say, that they have won the election and that they were calling on their supporters to jubilate. But when the results started trickling in, now they saw the writing on the wall. But for us, this is a distraction, will not be perturbed, because the very, very SLPP Alie Conteh was on record to have praised NEC that they are satisfied with the process. But now that the tables are turned, they started crying. This is where we are going to concentrate on our own party to make sure we continue to preach the peace to our people so that results will have been used. We will jubilate with some restraint without any provocation.
Mr.
So
Berete,
all the accusations, imagine
Mr. Berete, if you can hear me.
Some people saying
Mr.
that
Berete.
even the IRN is dominated by APC. An outlet that is only announcing results given to them by the National Electoral Commission.
Mr. Berete, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
All right. Now, apart from the hacking allegations that the SLPP mentioned today, there's also the general allegation about rigging. But today in his statement, Dr. Alie Conteh did mention that there are incidences they have seen of over-voting in some of the areas. What do you have to say to this?
I don't know whether it is the SLPP that is conducting the elections. I wish if they had such a complaint, instead of very prematurely going into a press conference and outlandish statement, they would have brought their evidences to NEC. NEC will have investigated. NEC will have convened a press conference and with the evidence. But this is nothing new. This is not a novelty. In 2007, they did the same thing and we were declared the winner. In 2012, they also cried like babies and we won the day. And this election, nobody is going to subvert the will of the people, because the people said they have seen the light and that they will go. Nobody will compromise their rights to determine the government they wanted. So that is why for us, we continue to talk to our people. Even though we are at a very comfortable lead, we are continuing to talk to our people to exercise restraint, because we don't want to compromise the peace and security of the state, which is also very paramount to us. Now, let's go back to you. You are being quoted for citing figures saying the APC is taking the lead. So let's go. If not Akin, where did you get those figures? Because NEC is yet to come out with the figures. We rely on figures that the IRN is giving out. We tally them because for us, we don't want to compromise the integrity of NEC, because don't forget, according to Section 33 of the 1991 Constitution, it is NEC that is given the mandate to conduct public elections, and such provisions were also reflected in the 2002 Public Elections Act. So that is why it was very preposterous on the part of the SLPP for them to go that they have won the election when only 10% at the time were counted. So for us, we continue to rely on IRN for the figures that are coming out.
Okay, so how has
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Abdoulaye Berete, former presidential spokesman for the APC government. Well, I don't know if he relinquished that position, but right now he's the communications director for the APC as a political party. Ladies and gentlemen, the interesting thing here is that let's start with Mr. Abdoulaye Berete and everything that he is talking about. In the first place, he is saying that it was very premature for the SLPP to start jubilating, claiming that they have won the elections because of numbers that they relied on that were not officially coming from the National Electoral Commission. Now, at the same time, he is saying, I like the last question they asked him, he is saying that the APC is relying on information that is being, put forward by the RN. Now, the IRN is not National Electoral Commission. And when the chairman of the National Electoral Commission was given the 50% result, he emphasized that as per the dictates of the Constitution of Sierra Leone and the Elections Act, it is only the National Electoral Commission that is the official body that is supposed to announce elections. And so APC, if you are claiming victory in this election by relying on numbers that you are getting from a body that is not officially mandated by our Constitution or Elections Act, then you are contradicting yourself, Mr. Berete. You are definitely contradicting yourself, because you are not supposed to rely on any other information. And so the gentleman's question to you was, if you did not hack the system, how did you get this number? Then you say you relied on IRN. That was just a fickle, if I was marking your paper, you just got D right there, Mr. Berete, because you are accusing the SLPP for doing something that you are actually engaged in, right? That's what you are doing. The official body that is supposed to announce election results in Sierra Leone is the National Electoral Commission. And so if you as government went ahead and published the result of the election and claim victory, you published the result of this election on your party letterhead and published it on social media, on Facebook. Everybody saw that. And you claim victory based on how you got that number. Then some people will say it is an attempt to undermine the work of the National Electoral Commission, because you are the incumbent government, you are in power right now, so whatever you do, you have the powers to do what you are doing right now, right? That is how we look at it. It doesn't matter how other people view it. But as far as Mr. Berete is concerned, he is always pushed by the APC to say these words. He sounds very intelligent, very eloquent, but he's talking about stuff that, when you do a fact check into what he's talking about, it does not add up at all. They do not add up. So, Mr. Berete, hopefully you are hearing me wherever you are, but this is just the plain truth. I mean, you are my brother, but I have to tell you the truth, right? I mean, so stop accusing the SLPP. Now, one thing that I know is that it is incumbent on every political party or the presidential candidate, because the presidential candidate of every political party happens to be the political leader of that party. And so when you participate in a national presidential election, it is incumbent upon you to have a team together to tally votes, because you have already sent out party agents to man all those polling stations around the country. So from each one of them, you want to get the numbers coming in. And I like the interview that we gave to the chairman of the National Electoral Commission, who said that they are not going to travel with any ballot papers. They count the votes where the voting takes place. So at every polling station, every political party is supposed to have polling agents. And so at the end of the election, when counting is done in the presence of everybody, in the presence of election observers, in the presence of political party agents, in the presence of elections officers. And so when this counting is done, all parties agree to it. The political party agents append their signature to the numbers that arrive from those counting, right? And so if that is how it is happening, then everybody agrees that these are the numbers coming from the various polling stations. That's what Julius Madabio was doing on election day in his house. He had his team, and they were putting those numbers together, and so they were seeing how they were taking lead in the election. And then suddenly the entire story changed, and APC, which everybody thought they were being written off out of this election, they started emerging with numbers. And so now you never know what intelligence political parties had. And as a presidential candidate during the campaign, Brigadier General Julius Madabio insistently said that he was going to do everything possible to ensure that this election is free, fair, and credible. And so you don't know, that is a complex statement. When somebody gives a statement like that, you do not know what capabilities he or she has to be able to do his or own things. And so now they had this press conference and they presented evidence to substantiate their claims. And those claims were that the APC was actually meddling in the electoral process. The numbers they were presenting, how they were hacking into the electoral system, how Miata French, working for the National Electoral Commission, was forcing her own, NEC officers to input numbers that were not tangible, that were not correct numbers, into their system. So they are demanding for the National Electoral Commission to investigate Miata French as well. So these issues are big issues. These are not small issues at all. And so some of us do not look at them as small issues because it is democracy. It is issues like this that have the potential to plunge a country into another mayhem. May the Lord Almighty forbid that. But it is very, very important for the National Electoral Commission to check into this. Now, we are going to try to reach out to Mr. Mohammed Conteh today to see if we can ask him questions about, all of this. And so, because every time we call him, he is always ready to talk to us. So we are going to try to see if we can talk to him. But for right now, these are the information coming in. So on election day, the police happened to have arrived at the residence of Julius Maada Bio. And they claim that they received intelligence report that the SLPP was hacking into the National Electoral Commission's systems, right? Now, before that, we had given an exclusive interview to the public relations officer of the, the Sierra Leone Police Force, Superintendent Ibrahim Samura, and he stated clearly when we asked him the question about whether the Sierra Leone police is equipped enough to be able to police the elections, he said yes, and maybe he did not understand the question, because when you say you are equipped, it means even your intelligence gathering, the way you gather intelligence, the way you vet information before you put action into information, you should make sure that you are very accurate. But by the display of what happened on March 7th at the residence of the presidential candidate of the SLPP, it proves that the police was not equipped to be able to man the elections because their intelligence was not accurate. They could not substantiate the reason why they arrived at the man's residence. Few police showed up at Julius Maada Bio's residence, and they claimed that they were there to search his house because they received intelligence that he was his team and him were hacking into the next systems. And so, as per requirements of the law, he asked them for a warrant of search. They could not produce one. If you say you are coming to search my house, where is the warrant? You don't have the warrant, then you are not searching my house. So they went back, they brought a big reinforcement, right? A lot of police, all of us saw the pictures, right? Now, when you do that on election day, I am looking at it, being that, our country is being in the hands of the APC. And of course, all of us know that we say this all the time, that APC has 99 tactics to win election. So they were trying to preempt the SLPP, turn the attention of the public towards the SLPP while they are actually engaged in dubious activities, right? They say, you know what, let us try to hack this system, but let us cast the blame on the SLPP for doing it. We are in government, we have all the apparatus, we have all the powers, we have the money, we have the logistics, let's do it. And so they went ahead and turn the focus of the public to the Julius Maada Bio and the SLPP whilst they were doing their thing on the side, right? That's just speculation. I'm speculating because knowing the APC the way I know them, I'm speculating here. That should have been a very good scenario of things happening that way, And so we expected this election to be very peaceful. By now, we should not be, talking about all of these things. But anyway, 50% of the votes have come in so far. SLPP is at 564,687. ADP is 13,507 votes so far. The APC is at 566,113 votes. Okay, that's the official 50% count. The C4C, 24,685 votes right now, according to NEC. And of course, we have the CDP at 5,682 votes that have come in so far now, 50%. And of course, NDA, 4,154 votes so far that have come in, right? And so the NGC is at 87,722 votes coming in right now. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is just 50% of the votes. 50% more is on the way. And the difference between the SLPP and the APC in this announcement, in the 50% announcement, is just about 2,000 and some hundred votes. right? Because APC is at 566,113 votes, and SLPP is 564,687. So it's about 2,000 and some hundreds. So for those who are jubilating for the APC, you don't have to jubilate right now. And for those who are crying for the SLPP, you don't have to cry right now. Let's keep the focus. I just want to say a lot of thanks to all the other political parties, especially the National Grand Coalition, for the awareness they created among our people. They created awareness. They brought in civic education 101, right? 101 civic education. They created awareness in our people. They educated the masses on knowing their civic rights and responsibilities in this election. We give them kudos. We will never forget about them. And of course, Dr. Kande Kolayom-Kela, will you continue to be an asset to Sierra Leone for everything that you did in this election. The only advice we have for you is to toe the line with one of your members who was advising you on social media that in case this election goes to a runoff, if you decide to side with the APC, then of course you have killed the NGC permanently. Because when the APC comes to power, the first thing they will do is to kill the NGC because they don't believe in competition. They don't want anybody to be taking away votes from them in the Northern Province or Northwestern region. So when you do that, you are killing the aspirations of your political party. So I'm towing the line with one of your members who said that. But on the overall, you did a credible job in this election. You have created so much impact, positive impact on our people. Of course, how about Mohammed Kamirimba Mansoure? The guy that I like. This guy stood his ground. He went through a whole lot. He went to jail. He was arrested a couple of times. He stood his ground. He spoke on issues. He was like the voice of the voiceless, right? I love this guy. This guy did a good job. We want to say you have created a very good resume for Sierra Leoneans. Now they know you as somebody who can stand your ground. And so in the future, you are a young man. In the future, we know you have hopes. You have a mark on the leadership in that country. When you stand up anywhere and say, this is what I'm standing for, people will believe you, right? So we believe you and we appreciate you. We say thank you to you, Mohammed Kamirimba Mansoure, and all of the members of the Alliance Democratic Party for what you are doing, right? And of course, the Coalition for Change has taken away right now at 50%. Coalition for Change has taken away votes from the APC and from some SLPP. But I think he took away votes more from the APC. 24,000 now, the C4C. Of course, whoever was dismissing the potential capabilities of Alhaji Samuel Samsumana, you start be thinking again. I mean, APC, if you guys have not been so cruel, so antagonistic to this guy, of course, you should have been having 24,000 votes right now added to your 566. But this is what you did to him, and this is what you got, right? And so, my family, let's see. We are going to talk to. We are going to see. What can I say? We are going to see how the police arrive at the residence of Julius Maada Bio on election day. See this.
There's nothing here. We're just sitting. Whatever the police said they came to look for, I believe they haven't found. And we're here. We've had a peaceful election, and the SLPP has preached peace from the beginning of the campaign, and everybody has maintained peace. You don't wait till 5 o'clock when they're about to start counting, and now you bring chaos. They know if you're to come and attack Madabio in any form, it's like you're attacking Sierra Leone. Because the people in Sierra Leone are with Madabio. They should know that. There's no point of bringing chaos in this country. When Anes came in as the president, there was no fighting, there was no trouble. He actually came in and removed SLPP. So if now SLPP is going to remove APC, I don't see why there should be any problem. I don't see the reason why we should have fight or anything. The innocent people matters. The ones that are poor and suffering, they are more than the ones that are enjoying. So the few that are enjoying should allow democracy to prevail and let us finish this process. If they have done their assignment well, if they have served this country well for the last 10 years, nobody should be jumping right now. Let us do the election. It's election. Come on, there's a thing called democracy. Let us follow that process.
All right.
All right, of course, that was Ms. Fatima Bio, of course, the wife of the presidential candidate of the SLPP. And of course, one statement that I like about her is that, when the APC won election in 2007, it was a smooth, peaceful transfer of power to them without a single hell raised in Sierra Leone. And so why don't we allow the same thing to happen? Why do we have to create tensions? Why, the question goes back to all of us, because we know that the APC struggles a lot whenever it is participating in any competition. APC struggles a lot whenever, there is democracy. They don't believe in democracy. And of course, this is the truth. If there is any APC person watching now, you can tell me why I am lying, because so many instances, from the time you have been in position of authority from 1968 all the way to today, tell me some of your democratic, credentials. What have you done to demonstrate that you are a political party that upholds democracy? You like to dictate, you like to do things your own way, you don't like anybody criticizing you. But then this is a different era. We are in 2018. This is not 1960 or 1967 or 1971 or 1980. 2018, with so many resources available to us, you cannot just do things the way you want to do things and you expect to go scot-free. So some of the things that are important in this election right now. One, the National Electoral Commission has to do a good job to address all of the concerns that have been presented to them by political parties. They have to, and they should come out with a press conference telling Sierra Leonean people how they have addressed those concerns. Those concerns should not go unaddressed. They have to have a very specific press conference to talk to Sierra Leoneans about how they have addressed the concerns of political parties in this election. I think that's very critical. Number two, part of the concern was to investigate Miata French, who works for NEC. I think it is legitimate concern because of evidences that she has been forcing her workers at the National Electoral Commission to put numbers into the system that are not tangible numbers, that are not correct numbers. Now, when you do that, you are interfering directly and fatally also interfering into the process. So she should be investigated. And, I think everybody should hold their peace right now. The APC, no jubilation right now. SLPP, no crying right now. Hold your peace. It is possible this election is going to go to runoff. And if it goes to runoff, then that's when the politics is going to be deep. All right? So, brothers and sisters, stick around as we go through this.
Sugar music. They mean they say blow behind governments, not all see for blame governments for they say pass mark. And now, right from the horse's mouth.
You mentioned that when you saw the state of somebody's life during your campaign, you felt it was unforgivable. Who or what will you blame for that? But I'm blaming government.
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo.
Nagadam. If you want to pull you close and throw away, I'm a pop up. It's allowed. Jerking dancing the foot on the ground like a woulda give up. It's allowed. Give me you for make a come in body cause I not get a prepare. Not allowed. Allow me even touch you baby cause I want for turn up fire. Not allowed. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Next nation. Kaka. Man I'm out to the no fast, no post. Where's it at you now? Nah, never to go. This not time we no need no bus. If you fat I go just on me, no if you tired for that I go just gonna house. Don't let me go, don't let me go, don't let me go. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Come on a corner, ballot up in if I watch and I under me body they tickle. Something a feather, scatter the campaign I get the forgetter. EB, we go party today. EB, yanda we ready for body. Hello, enjoy the development. Hello, enjoy the development.
The song. Listen, now I'm going to teach you how to dance the song. When I say east, you go right. When I say west, you go left. When I say north, you go front. When I say south, you go well, now east, west, north, south.
If I become the presidency, 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 I go put everyone on my cabinet. See me see because I am intelligent. Everyone go sit down on my parliament. Olam, put out pause. Olam, Allah, kulam, pause. I say Olam, put out pause. Olam, Allah, kulam, pause.
Let the cool and
LSG say no violence. No violence. No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence.
No violence. No violence. No violence. No violence.
Mohammed. It's regarding the Inspector General was saying that they're in charge of security, blah blah blah. Yeah, which is quite right. But in that movement and the movement of people stricter and the, we're not there at war.
Right.
And even during the time where the country they at war, people were afraid. Election day was just like any other day.
3.1 million people were registered. And honestly, problems with them cannot even reach 1%. Tell you that as a patriotic Sierra Leonean, as a true Sierra Leonean. But at the background, we get people that don't want to derail the electoral.
They asked me, Alie, why is it that 3 of the top members of C4C are lawyers? There's Judah, there's Kevin, there's me, and a bunch of others in Sierra Leone. My response was this: so that the next president of Sierra Leone that C4C helps elect understands one thing: we ain't gonna let you break the law.
Yes, of course, Sierra Leonean people, what is next? That is what the question is. What is next? We have gotten 50% of the votes, and of course, what is going to happen next is for us to keep looking up to the National Electoral Commission to see how they are going to handle all of these issues that are trickling down now. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we are going to be coming to the end of the broadcast today. Like we said, the lines are open. In case you want to call, you can call right now. The number is up there, 832-614-6242. You can call us directly, and of course, we can join you to the conversation. You can say what you want to say with regards to the election results that have come out today, the attack on the presidential candidate of the SLPP, and of course, all the concerns raised by the SLPP and other political parties. You can actually call in right now and profile your views on this. This is very important. But before we finally go, we are going to talk a little bit more about the numbers as made possible by the National Electoral Commission. We want to talk about those numbers a little bit. And so these are the numbers, like we've said today, right? Now, these are the certified numbers of people who registered to vote in the just concluded March 7, 2018 general elections in the country. According to the National Electoral Commission, these are the certified numbers of people who registered to vote. How many people actually registered to vote? Let's see that. The number is 3,128,967 people registered to vote in this election. Right now, according to all analysis we've been receiving, is that about 5% of that number did not vote in the election. About 5%. Let's see what 5% of 3 million people is like. You know, we're going to do a little bit of math, and I want you to join me to do this. We are saying 5% of 3,128,967 people. So it's about 156,448 people did not vote in this election, right? Because about 5%, that's just a rough estimate. Now, these figures we are giving you are not coming from the National Electoral Commission, which is the official body recognized by our Constitution and our Elections Act to be the official body to announce numbers that are related to elections in Sierra Leone. But we have been doing our own homework, and we have our correspondents down in the country. They reported to us on election day, and so you know, these are the numbers coming down. But according to the certified numbers that came to, from the National Electoral Commission before even election, that was the number. And in the Northern Province, divided into two regions, according to NEC, they have the Northern region and the Northwestern region. Right, the Northern region is where you have Bombali district, of course, Konadugu district, and those other areas. The Northwestern region is where you have Port Loko, Cambia, you know, those areas very close to Freetown. That's the Northwestern. Now, combining those two regions in the north, the numbers that they came up with was 998,760 voters registered to vote in the Sierra Leonean elections, right? In the Eastern Province, it was 619,229 people registered to vote in the elections in Sierra Leone. And of course, Southern Province, 620,826 people registered to vote in the election. And of course, Western area, which is the capital of Sierra Leone, Freetown, the small yellow place you see, it is densely populated. 890,152 people registered to vote in the election in Western area in the country. Now, these are the numbers. Looking at these numbers, the total came up to 3,128,967 people registered to vote in the election in Sierra Leone. And so when we look at the political dynamics involved with regards to these numbers, first of all, 16 political parties participated in the just concluded elections. And we have predominant political parties, especially we have two that have been part of the politics of Sierra Leone since Sierra Leone got independence in 1961. And those political parties are the Sierra Leone People's Party and the All People's Congress, the APC. Now, where are their strongholds? I mean, according to the 50% votes results that we have just received from the National Electoral Commission, it is these two political parties that are still leading in this election as well. And so where are they dominant? Where are they more popular in the country? Now, let's start with the incumbent political party, the APC. APC is popular in the Northern Province of the country. That is where they are more popular, Northern Province. And of course, in this Northern Province, they are a little bit popular in the Western area. But the thing about Western area, you know, the Western area is the place where, you know, when the government is doing well, the people stand with you, because it is made up of the elites, more of the elites of the country. They understand the issues. So when they know that the government is doing well, they can, you know, appreciate you for doing well. But when you are not doing well, then they can always leave you. Just like they supported you, they can always abandon you. And so for right now, APC, the incumbent political party, cannot rely on Freetown too much. But anyway, let's talk about the North. The Northern Province, that is where the APC has its stronghold. But with the emergence of two political parties, which drew most of their supporters from that same region, Northern Province, and that's the National Grand Coalition and the Alliance Democratic Party, the APC has suffered some votes that were taken away from them. Right about this time, at 50% votes result announcement by NEC, APC has lost 87,722 votes. Where we cannot say that the votes that the NGC got all came from the APC, you know, because there are the three sects of the population actually sympathize with the National Grand Coalition, and that is those who were disgruntled with the APC, those who were not happy with the SLPP, and the people who were in the middle, the independents, they were more following the NGC. And some of the people in Freetown who understand the issues, NGC is an elite party, even though it's grassroots or Okada, but the people who understand the issues more are the people who are following the NGC. So, but they took votes away from the APC in the Northern Province, right? Now, they also took, the other party that also took away from the APC is the Coalition for Change. Coalition for Change, the presidential candidate of Coalition for Change is Alhaji Samuel Sumana, the guy who was the former vice president of the country, who was unconstitutionally sacked by the president. He took his case to the ECOWAS court, and the ECOWAS court ruled on that case on humanitarian grounds that they did not do him right. And what happened in that case was that, according to the constitution of the APC, when you expel a member from that party, that member has up to 30 days to appeal his or her case. And so they did not give him the time to appeal the case. They went ahead and, the president then went ahead and sacked him just because the party expelled him. So he took that case and he won it. He came back. His people love him in the Connaught axis. And so he is able to take away 24,000 votes right now, right? So how about the southeastern part of the country? That is where the main opposition Sierra Leone People's Party has its stronghold. The southeastern part of the country, that's the Southern Province and the Eastern Province, right? Now, the stronghold of the APC, the SLPP is still intact. The only area that they are going to suffer a little bit is the Coalition for Change in the Connaught axis as well. Because Connaught is a swing state, and it's always been like that. It's never supported any one party consistently. They support you if you are doing things for them. But once you turn your back on them, they turn their back on you as well. So Connaught has been like this since 1961. They are swing people. They swing. They are not loyal people, But anyway, so SLPP is also going to suffer a little bit as a result of the presence of Alhaji Samuel Sumana. But of course, we know if this election goes to runoff, Alhaji Sumana will prefer to work with the SLPP instead of the APC. That we know for sure. We can guarantee that because of how they treated him. It is very difficult for this man to forgive these people, right? I don't know what they can ever say to them, even though we know politics can do anything. But this one, we have been following him a lot, right? But the stronghold of the SLPP is still intact. And so if the SLPP as well benefited a lot from the Western area, because the people in the Western area are disgruntled people, they are unsatisfied people, they are people who are suffering when things are not going right in Sierra Leone. The first set of the population that start to see that suffering is the people in the Western area. And so they have been seeing that a lot. The austerity measures, the Ebola crisis, the mudslide, all of the issues that have been going on in the country, they have suffered the brunt of it. And so they decided to support the SLPP this time. So SLPP dent into that vote in the Western area and they gained votes from there. So when I'm looking at these dynamics, I know for sure that it is not going to be easy for any one political party to emerge as the winner in this election in the first round. But when you go to the second round, the SLPP has more advantage than the APC. So the only thing that can make the APC to win this election is by either doing any manipulation, like deploying its 99 tactics like people know them for. If they do that, probably they might be able to succeed. But that is what is going on in Sierra Leone right about this time. So these are the numbers once more, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the numbers as they are coming from Sierra Leone. Right now we have 50% of the votes have been, the results have been announced. And so let's see what happens next. Let's see what happens next. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call the station right now, you feel free to call the station. We are here. We are ready to receive your call. We are going to give another 5 minutes to people to call in. If we don't get any call, of course, we're going to close down for the day. But so far, that is what we have from studio number 8. Stick around with us.
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo.
Nagadam. If you want to pull you close and throw it, I'm a pop up. It's allowed. Jerking dancing and fall on the ground like a would give up. It's allowed. Give me you for make a come in body cause I not get a prepare. Not allowed. Allow me even touch you baby cause I want to turn up fire. Not allowed. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go, go, go. Don't let me go. Next station. Kakona Tata. When I'm up to the no fast, no post. Where's the Nah, never to the this not time we don't need no bus. If you fat, I go just on me. No, if you tired for that, I go just gonna house. Don't let me go, don't let me go, don't let me go. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Gonna the middle, come on a corner. Ballot to pin if I watch and I under me body they tickle. Something a feather, scatter the campaign like they forget that. EP, we go party today. EB, yanda we ready for body. Hello, enjoy the development. Hello, enjoy the development.
Of course, ladies and gentlemen, that's Jogo Jogo by LXG, one of the famous musical artists. They talk to we about violence and everything. Let all man stay away from that as we look forward to the elections result. Of course, on the line right now, we get no other person but Mr. Dennis Koima from Australia and Down Under. Hello, Dennis. How you do?
Good, thanks, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. You want to say something?
Yeah, of course, me na SLPP man.
Good.
So, insofar as the 50% result they don't call, we don't see how the result they go. Yeah, they are leading us by a slender margin. So, but my question is based on your analysis.
Right.
I'm not sure how best you can project that.
Mm-hmm.
That because some of we concern and want to know how much more we get now with stronghold. Where they're not counted, where they're not kind of tally yet.
Right.
Like the southeast, not the east, north or west. We go actually make a headway and take a lead as the Ibrahim Conteh they try for put the results together by tomorrow or Tuesday latest.
Right.
So yeah, what's your prediction? What's your projection?
Yes.
Insofar as me own party concerned, because we know how much they don't call, but we don't know how much don't left now with stronghold, where we go rely on say, look, that go give we a comfortable lead. You know, that's our concern.
Right, definitely, and a very legitimate concern that I think say we don't get some information, we just don't come in for answer that question. So we put them together right now for see how we able for analyze them and give you an answer to that. But yeah, definitely that is a very legitimate concern, because I get me other anti we instead now strong SLPP person instead of coming in the background, you know, be one go on the air and the same question they ask, the stronghold. So we need to know that. All right, so no problem, Dennis. We will strive for see what we will do about that. But we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Of course, that's Dennis Kwema from Sydney, Australia. Of course, legitimate concern we don't express over there. And so whilst when I listen to the music, let's check what you get now. Stick around with us.
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo.
Nagadon. If you want to pull you close and throw it, I'm a pop. It's allowed. Jerking dancing the foot on the ground like a would give up. It's allowed. Give me you for make a come body cause I not get up up here. Not allowed. Allow me even touch you baby cause I want for turn up fire. Not allowed. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Nation. Kakona kaka. When I'm out in the house, no fast, no post. Where's it all you know? Nah, never to go. This not time we no need no bus. If you fat I go just on me, no if you tired for that I go just gonna house. Don't let me go, don't let me go, don't let me go. Jogo, 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 make the cool and temper. Jogo, 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 make the cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
All right, of course, ladies and gentlemen, Jogo LXG from Freetown, Sierra Leone. Of course, we don't get some numbers that we come in, and so we get to talk about the numbers. And of course, this is not the official numbers we come up from the National Electoral Commission. Of course, at the time where they do the 25% announcement, but it will give you an idea about, you know, which side the partisans stand. They don't do, I mean, the list, they portray everything from the 16 districts, 16 electoral districts, right, in the country. So let's see how the numbers then look like right now for the for people that we care, we want for know, right? And so those are the numbers up. I don't know if one of the see and fine. But if you watch on our television, you're able to see waiting with the see. But so far, the announcement, I mean, the numbers then we don't come in from the 16 electoral districts. They portray them here as this way. At the bottom of the list, you go see percentages, you know, where they showed how many percent the political parties and they now, and of course this not been when they been do the 25% result. We'll not get the 50% yet, but maybe we will try to get that as well. But anyway, so in Kailahun district we get APC now 44%, 44.6%, ADP 1%, CDP 0.4%, C4C 3.3%, NDA 0.3%, NGC 6.6%, NPD 6.6%. We actually make a just focus on the parties that we would expect say then get for compete, even if runoff get for this. So now APC SLPP. So APC get 44.6% inside the elections right now, and SLPP get 42.0% as at the time where they be do the 25% count. This now for all the 16 districts, right? Kaila, Onkenema, Kono, Bombali, Falaba, Konadugu, Tonkolili, Cambia, Karin, Port Loko, Bow, Bont, Moyamba, Pujão, Western area rural, Western area urban, right? So APC don't get at 25% votes, then we get 291,933. And of course, SLPP been get 274,352% at that time, 42% at that time. All right. So these now some of the numbers then we come in at the time we now been 25%. Now at 50%, we get for try for see if we go able for actually show you something. So we want for me to continue for. Hold on as listen to music as we try to see if we get that.
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo.
Nagadam. If you want to pull you close and throw away, I'm a pop up. It's allowed. Jerking dancing and fall down the ground like a would give up. It's allowed. Give me you for make a come in body cause I not get a prepare. Not allowed. Allow me even touch you baby cause I want for turn up fire. Not allowed. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go.
All right, okay, my family. Of course, just like how we tell you now, we just don't get some numbers. We don't come in as well. So apart from the 25% numbers that we don't give you, we don't also you see the 50% votes where they scroll now with screen. But waiting people that really want to know now how many more counts would they get for counts where the numbers that we're not coming yet, and whether not from party strongholds or not. So let's see we get so far now. The remaining stations, we're not saying numbers yet. We get Eastern region, we get 1,674 stations. They're not saying the numbers up yet. They're not counting it. Southern province, 1,663 stations. They're not saying them yet. Southeast total, 3,337 stations. They're not counting them yet. They're not coming inside. Northern province, 1,435 stations. Northwest, 1,301 stations. West rural and urban 2,264 stations, right? So Northern province 1,435 stations, they're not counted. Northwestern region 1,301 station. Now for the Northern province, that is where APC getting stronghold. Northwestern province, that is where NGC and ADP then getting strongholds, right? And so 1,435,000 stations in the north. They not get results from there yet. Northwest, Northern region 1,301. They not get results yet. Freetown, when at the all man they compete, and SLPP as a political party supposed to do very well. Now that area they now 2,264 polling stations. They're not saying the numbers they in yet, right? So looking at those numbers, 3,337 stations for the southeast, where in come inside. Then western area, western and rural and urban, 2,264, and northwestern area, even though now NGC and ADP they're in stronghold, but SLPP is supposed to make inroads there as well. So these numbers then they tell we say. You win at SLPP where they cry, stop for cry, get hope. You win at APC where they jubilate, stop jubilating, get a concern, right? So those are the numbers coming in right now into our station. And of course, the National Electoral Commission, they still do the tally and they get for come up with their numbers then they. you know, for able for tell the people them waiting at the 75% election result, like how Infa being, you know, promised. Infa Alie Conteh, you know, say then go probably come up with a 75%. So those are the numbers right about this time. So let's continue for watch the space, right?
Jogo, make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo. Jogo, jogo.
Nagadon. If you want to pull you close and throw it, I'm a pop up. It's allowed. Jerking dancing the foot on the ground like a would give up. It's allowed. Give me your phone, make a come in body, cause I not get up up here. Not allowed. Allow me even touch you, baby, cause I want to turn up fire. Not allowed. Don't let me go, oh, don't let me go. Don't let me go, go, go. Don't let me go. Next station. Kaka, kaka. When I'm up, she knows. No fast, no post. Where's it at, you go? Now, never to go. If you fat, I go just on me. Not if you tired for that, I go just gonna house. Don't let me go, don't let me go, don't let me go. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, 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 make them cool and temper. Jogo, jogo.
Gonna the middle, come on a corner. Ballot open if I watch and I under me body they tickle. Something a feather, scatter the campaign like a dick forgetter. EP, we go party TJ. EB, yanda we ready for body. Hello, Angel Nancy Bennett. Hello, Angel Nancy Bennett.
Right, of course, there, ladies and gentlemen, that is LXG, one of the top musical stars of Sierra Leone. This guy has been nominated before at international level to compete in International Musical Award. And so LXG is a classic guy. His songs are very, you know, the beats, I love the beats. And of course, the lyrics in there are also very good. So that's LXG with Jongo. Jongo, of course, adding his voice to, you know, advise the youths from electoral violence, from intimidation and anything, right? And so according to our analysis of the 50% vote results that have been announced, right about this time, the APC is leading SLPP by 1,426 votes. Only 1,426. You know, that is like a drop in a bucket. That is nothing, right? So APC should not be bragging too much right about this time for, you know, winning the election, for being on the advantage. You should be cautious because we still have a lot of votes that are supposed to come in and they have not come in yet. And most of the votes have come in from the APC stronghold. They only have few more that are supposed to come in, right? And so right now it's Samura Kamara and the APC. They are at 43.2% at 50% vote announcement. So 43.2% ahead of the SLPP, which is at 43.1. So APC 43.2, SLPP 43.1. Small gap, right? So let's continue to watch the space and see what is going to happen. Of course, Dr. Kande Koleyam Kela is at 6.7 right now. Alhaji Samuel Samsumana is at 3.4%. We are talking about percentages now. And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, according to the electoral laws of Sierra Leone, a political party has to have 55% for that political party's presidential candidate to be declared as the next president of the country. So APC, SLPP, they are in the 43% right now. So let's see how this is going to play out. Of course, I want to take this moment to say special thanks and appreciation to our sources that are providing this information to us from credible sources right within where we're supposed to get it from, right? So we are very much delighted. We are happy for this. And so, ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff's Broadcast Network will continue to be the place where we'll bring you news, information, and education from Sierra Leone and about Sierra Leone. Of course, today is Saturday, March 10, 2018, 3 days after the presidential, parliamentary, and local council elections in the country. The country is right now on a very edge balance. Of course, the democracy is fragile, and nobody's expecting, the country to descend into another anarchy as a result of elections. We are expecting everybody to be peaceful. Of course, there was no expectation that police was going to show up at the residence of the presidential candidate of the main opposition, Sierra Leone People's Party, but they did. And of course, the SLPP came up with a press conference where they accused the incumbent political party, the APC, of hacking into the electoral systems of the country. And of course, we don't know what the National Electoral Commission is going to do about that, but hopefully they will treat the concern seriously. They are also asking for a special investigation into the conduct of Miata French, one of the senior officers at the National Electoral Commission, for forcing electoral workers to manipulate numbers and put in numbers that were not correct. These are allegations, and of course, all other numbers coming are not coming from the National Electoral Commission. What we are telling you is based on our own analysis of the situation in the country, the voter numbers that are coming from polling stations, and so we still await the official announcement of voting results from the National Electoral Commission, because they are the ones that are mandated by the electoral laws and the Constitution of Sierra Leone to do this kind of thing, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we have for you. And of course, at Sheriff's Broadcast Network, we are always here to provide you with information that are pertinent to the country, Sierra Leone. So if you have anything that you want to say, the lines are still open. You can call us, and of course, we can be with you. So we want you to continue to stick around with us as we continue to come to you live from Houston, Texas, in the United States.
Whatever the police said they came to look for, I believe they haven't found. We're here. We've had a peaceful election, and the SLPP has preached peace from the beginning of the campaign, and everybody has maintained peace. You don't wait till 5 o'clock when they're about to start counting, and now you bring chaos.
It is unfortunate and also very much preposterous The reason being, I remember just the very day of the voting when the Sierra Leone police visited an unfinished house and the issue about hacking came up. They bashed the police.
The only institution we get a constitutional mandate for give out results at the National Electoral Commission. So far, I want to start by commending the leadership of the National Electoral Commission. They don't try them best, and from the looks of things, we don't get any doubt in them.
Election coverage part 3. Of course, this is not the third time we come to now today in a row. Right, of course, ladies and gentlemen, of course, as per Mr. Umar Fofana, the BBC reporter, our brother, of course, a credible journalist, he is reporting that with 50% of the presidential election results released, Sierra Leone's ruling party's candidate Dr. Samura Kamara leads by a whisker with 43.2%, followed by Julius Madabio with 43.1%. The two men are separated by 1,426 votes. Dr. Kanda Yumkila is third with 6.7%, and Samuel Samsumana is on 3.4%. The other share says the other share the rest. The Electoral Commission says results from an undisclosed number of polling stations have set aside for auditing. All right, so meaning that there are some voting results that have questions. We don't know whether those voting results are from the APC stronghold or the SLPP stronghold, but they have set them aside for auditing before they can count them. So probably that's what NEC is doing right about this time. But for now, we can say that in the APC stronghold, they have counted 3,337 polling stations polls, right? In the APC stronghold. In the SLPP stronghold, they have counted 1,902 polling stations votes, right? So it is still very early for anybody to say this person is the winner in this election or that person is not. But they have counted more votes from the APC stronghold than the SLPP stronghold. But they have some votes that are being set aside. They are auditing those votes before they can count them. So that is what is going on at the National Electoral Commission right now. And of course, the chairman of the commission had promised to come up with a 75% result. We don't know when that is coming, whether it's going to be today. Well, right now it is 4:00 p.m. here in Texas. It's 5 o'clock on the east coast of the United States, with 6 hours between us and Sierra Leone. So we can say about 10 p.m. in Sierra Leone right now. So obviously the 75% votes is not going to be considered tonight. It's going to be tomorrow. So tomorrow again we'll be here, and of course to bring you more analysis from the election. But once more, we want you to stick around as we come to the end of this program for today. Of course, tomorrow we'll be here again. Stick around.
Vicky Point.
Yeah, parents, election is here, and I know you care. But please, before casting your vote, this message you need to hear and ideas. Election is not a random selection. It is a time to vote, not the coat or the name on the coat, but the man in the coat. To vote is patriotism. Please do it with sufficient reasoning and wise thinking, because your vote will rather steer or sink the boat. It is your franchise, so please think twice. Do not sell this country for a bag of rice and bags of lies. Do not be deceived like flies. Vote wise, because if not, we the children will be the one to pay the price. And to me beloved youth them, una no allow them use una as bait for go vote for your mama image. Before you vote, read the candidate and vote for the love of the state. Una cold, una hot like Bomba ice cream fridge. Una no go get that on the bridge, planning to stage a siege. Again, do not be fooled with alcohol, because not true that Tokupa una don't fall. Una for there with one voice. Convince you comping through your word without spilling your blood. Because to vote, you only need your sense and not violence. each other, accept each other for what we are. As we pledge our love and loyalty to our country, Mama Salone, and vow to serve her faithfully at all times, and put our interests above all else. We can always succeed if we learn to treat each other the way you